Oh, look at that collar. No, that's not my collar. That's the plant behind me. Good evening, everybody. Oh, good evening, everybody. Welcome. So happy to see you. And can you see me? Can you hear me? Usually Utah Mike's going to let me know. And of course, Scott Hummer was the first one here this evening. Thank you. Let me go through this here, and I need to get my glasses on. But before I do that, yeah, okay, there we go. So you can hear me, you can see me. Going to put on my new glasses that I can't see out of. And oh, isn't that a great English sentence, see out of? Scott Hummer, thank you once again, the first one here. Theoxerus, good evening. Good to see you, Utah Mike, as well. Let me see who else we got here. Sumi, always great to see you as well. Methane Creator, hi, Jim. Oh, one of my heroes, and he's here. And I'm going to be up with him next Saturday, I believe. It's this coming Saturday. And looking forward to seeing you then. I'm going to stop by Temple at Syntex Military and get 2 more packages of MREs on my way over to see you. Let me see here. Little Lone Prepper. And gosh, who else? Kaylin, L Dog. Look at all these fantastic people. Unbelievable. Thank you for being here. Mountain Survival. He has been here a couple times now, along with L Dog. Mountain Survival, thank you for your comments and input. Greatly appreciated. L Dog the same. Let me see. Of course, Little Lone Prepper. Oh my gosh, such a fantastic follower. Well, we have one portion of tonight. When we get into 88, I believe it is, or is it 68? Just 88. Just unbelievable. He's done a really good job here. Of course, I'm going to have a show and tell around it. But gosh, you got to get this book. It's got to be in your library. Now, there's another one I'm reading. I'm currently in the process of reading it. It's called The Bug In, Bug Out Guide. And it's along the same vein as this. It's got a whole bunch of questions, I think 200 questions and answers, just like this one. Really great manual. Get this one first, then go get the Bug In, Bug Out Guide. We may do that one after this one. He's got a lot of good stuff in there as well. Mountain Survival. Let me see, what does he say? Good to see you all. Thank you. Okay, so number 81, how disastrous would a massive EMP be, and what can a survivalist do to prepare? There's a lot of disagreement over it. What is his name? EMP Dr. Bradley. Dr. Bradley is the EMP guy for NASA. And he says that if he's only concerned about long wires, and he's only concerned about long wires that are perpendicular to the EMP ray. So if the EMP ray is coming this way and the wire is wide, then it's going to hit that wire and travel down that wire. If it's a short wire and it's parallel to the strike of the EMP, he's not that concerned about it. So if you listen to the NASA guy, then he's not that worried that an EMP is going to do the devastating attack that everybody else thinks it is. We don't know. Let's be honest. We really don't know. But I'm going to take Dr. Bradley at his word. I mean, the guy, he designs all the EMP stuff for our spacecraft, and it's exposed to it up there. So that's I would be concerned about that. Now he has some ferrites, and we use ferrites an awful lot in ham radio, and so yes, they work. And my ham radio antenna is probably going to be one of the biggest attractors for an EMP here in the house, other than the electric power grid. So as long as you have good fuse boxes, as long as you have, for example, on all of my electrical outlets, I have them plugged into a power strip, okay? And that power strip is also a surge protector. So you've got the surge protector of the fuse in your home. You've got the surge protector of the fuse on the transformer, takes it from the 720 distribution lines down to 120 to come into the house. So, that you've got that fused. Then you've got the fuses in your fuse box that take the 120 and put that out to 5 amps per room. And so you got all these protections that are built in. I just go one step further. I have these little, gosh, can I pick this one up and show you what I do here? Let me see if I can reach it. There it is. Yeah, here we go. Come on, can it reach? Can it reach? No, not without unplugging it. Anyhow, let me see if I can do this. You know what I'm talking about, right? Come on, come on, come on. There we go. One of these things, right? And it's got the built-in fuse or power surge protector. So that's that every one of my pieces of equipment is plugged into that. Now the good thing about my ham radio, most people don't realize it. Radio equipment works at 12 volts. Okay, so anytime you have a ham radio, you have a base station, you have a repeater, you have anything like that. And your handy talkies, these are going to be 12 volts. Okay, and but everything. So my ICOM IC7300 HF transceiver is 12 volt. So it goes into so you've got my power supply is plugged into a surge protector, and that's plugged into the wall. Then the radio is plugged into the power supply that has a fuse in it, and I put a ferrite on that cable. So the place where I'm most concerned about EMP coming into the house is on my HF antenna. It's a half wavelength antenna. And so you figure that I want to work down in the 40 megahertz, I'm sorry, down in the 40 meter band. So 40 meters, I need a 40 meter antenna. I'm half wavelength on that. So that means I have a 20 meter long antenna. The antenna then is 60 feet long, okay? So if you don't think that's not going to be an EMP attractor, that is going to be a humongous EMP attractor. So I have to have a ferrite on that to reduce the amount of energy that comes into the house on the antenna to my radio. Now, if we take what people say, okay, it's going to affect the power station, so it could be a grid down, absolutely. So it could take out the power stations. It could take out so there's two different kinds of electricity, right? You got transmission, which is like the 72,000 watt and above lines. Those are the ones you're usually going to see are going to be on 4 legs, and you see these way up high in the air, 6, 8 lines. Those are going to go to a transformer or to a substation, get converted down to what we call distribution lines. And so distribution lines are usually going to be the 3 lines that you see, or 2 lines. If it has 3 lines, ones that you got Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie phases. And so you're going to have the 3 phases coming down on the 3 lines. That's going to be a 720 volt. Okay, so the ones that come into your neighborhood are usually going to be 720 volt. That gets transformed down to 120 volt on the power pole into your house. Okay, so we call those distribution lines. So those distribution lines are going to be highly susceptible to an EMP. So, but I think they're going to be contained at the power pole, where that transformer is at the power pole. Chances are your car will work, but you won't have gas. It's going to cause a lot of problems. Airplanes flying out of the sky, guess what? Airplanes are hit by lightning every single day of the year, and they don't fall out of the sky because of it. Airplanes are fairly EMP proof. They aren't grounded. So in order for the electricity to really have an effect on it, it has to have a ground, and they aren't grounded. So airplanes aren't going to fall out of the sky. That's just the simple truth. Unless it's a helicopter and they have one of those long tree trimmers that goes along and flies along the sides of the transmission lines and keeps all the trees from touching the transmission lines, they might have a problem because they're grounded. Their saw is cutting into the trees. But he talks about how disastrous it's going to be. And yes, so a lot of the things he talks about as far as taking out the power supplies, as far as taking out our grid, you're going to be in a grid down situation. I was on a discussion with somebody, and I have to go back here as soon as we're over and correct it because I'm wrong. And I said, when I was in the industry 10 years ago, all of the substation components for transformers were made overseas, and there weren't any made here in the U.S. And so I said, so as far as I know, okay, I am unaware of any transformers other than the 720 to 120, the ones you see on the power pole outside your house. Those are the only ones I'm aware of that were made inside the United States. The bigger ones we bought when I was in the industry, we bought from China or Germany. But I did a web search, and guess what? There's now 10 companies manufacturing those here in the United States. So I'm wrong. I got to go back and apologize and say, hey, I'm wrong. You know, I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm 73. You know. Okay, so EMP, yeah. Ferrites, get yourself a Faraday bag. We have a rule in my group when we have our meetings. Everybody puts their cell phones, and I have to put my iWatch in there too. Everybody puts our cell phones and iWatches in a Faraday bag, so Siri doesn't listen to what's going on. And you know, just another level of precaution. Call us crazy, that's okay. We are, but we also don't. We're not planning any crimes or anything, you know, but we just don't want too much information out there. 82. What items should I carry in an outdoor survival kit? Got a great list of things. I would say that this list on page 82 is not only a good list for what he has for an outdoor survival. It's on page 147. I'm sorry. It's question 82 or item 182. Not only should it be what's in your outdoor survival kit, it should be in your, if you have one, a bug out bag. Okay. Some of the key elements of it. While we're on that subject, somebody asked me a question just the other day about knives and what they should have as a knife. So in your bug out bag, get home bag, whatever, there are some certain things that I look for in my knives. And I'm a knife guy. My son-in-law was here. He just went home with his family, my daughter and the grandchildren, Saturday. And they were talking about they needed a knife for something and didn't have one. I said, well, come on, let's go out in the garage. You know, let's go through my knives. And I gave him my Ukrainian knife. And so what do I look for in a knife? You can get a fantastic knife, survival knife, bushcraft knife for less than $100. One of the ones that I really strongly recommend, the Condor Bush Floor, is not that expensive. That's my go-to knife around the house here. I mean, if you were to ask me, what do you have that you're going to use right now? I would say it's a Condor Bush Floor. I keep a Mira Black, Mira Knife Black right here. I keep it next to me here. I keep a K-bar in the bedroom on my nightstand. You know, I mean, there are some good knives out there. So I would say Condor Black. There's the Ukrainian knife, and I'll put these links in here below. And there's also a there's a German one. So these are $40 knives I bought in the last year that I was really impressed with. Look for a blade that's at least 3/8 of an inch thick. I prefer some sort of high carbon steel. I don't like the stainless steel. I want high carbon steel so I can do a good job of honing it and getting it to a razor sharp edge. So you want the blade at least 3/8 of an inch thick. Length, I have a tendency to prefer shorter blades, somewhere between 4 to 6 inches. No more than a 10-inch overall knife. Anything bigger than that, I think that you're getting into machete land. Although I do have a Becker BK7, and that's got a 9-inch blade. So then you might want to get, depending on what you want it for, if you get a flat grind is your best universal grind as far as survival, as far as you can use it for bushcraft and everything else. Most of my grinds, I have one flat grind, and that's my SE6. Is the only flat grind knife I have. All my other ones are Scandi grind, which is more of a bushcraft grind. So that's going to help you with whittling and getting good kindling and everything else. And it's great for bushcraft work. So that's what I would say. Make sure it's a full tang knife and full tang. So Mira knives are really good for this. So this is the Mira Black, okay? And what happens is you've got this little stub that goes to about right here, okay, on most of their knives. And then the rest of it, this handle, so this part back here doesn't have any metal inside to support it. This knife, the Mira Black, this entire thing, you can see the metal sticking out here at the end. This is what they call full tang. So it's metal all the way down so that you have one big solid piece of metal that you're using for your whatever needs you have. Great to stick into a tree if you need a step or something like that. But you want full tang, 3/8 inch wide, high carbon steel, A2, D1, 1095. You want a heat treatment around 60, okay, for an R strength. And what else do we say? Full tang. Gosh, that's it. I'll put a couple recommendations down below. My Condor bush lure is the one for around the house. My bug out bag, I have a $300 knife, and that knife is called the LT Wright Genesis 2 in a Scandi one. So, but you know, you can get decent blades for less than $50. Honestly, you can. Okay, you don't have to be a knife snob. You can get good blades for less than $50. The Mora Garberg is a great knife. Yes, Kaylin, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you. Who was that? Shenanigans said that the Mora is a good-looking knife. That's the Mora Black. That knife, and it comes with its own diamond honing stone on it, and it also comes with a ferrocerium rod. This is the one thing about Mora knives is they have 90-degree spines. That's another thing you might want to look for, is so that you can have that sharp angle on the spine to strike a ferro rod. So yeah, that's about a $90 knife, to be honest with you. How important is it to have survival items immediately on hand when an emergency develops? The handier they are to get to, the easier it's going to make all your decisions. My bug out bags are in the garage, okay, because I have them zip locked to, or zip tied to two-wheel dollies. And then I have a four-wheel garden cart that my daughter bought me for Christmas. It's funny how she buys me prepping stuff for Christmas, but that's probably about 8-10 years ago. And so that's going to be our bug out stuff. We'll put them in the back of the pickup and go from there. But you know, those are out in the garage. Now here's a disadvantage that you have to think about. We have an electric garage door opener. So should the electricity go out, okay, and the grid go down, and it affect my solar system and battery backup, then that door becomes, if the spring's not working and the counterweight's not working, that can be a booger bear to open. So just keep that in mind. Say, if something happens, if a fire happens, if a EMP happens, if this happens, if that happens, can I easily get to it and get it out in order to help me? And what are the alternatives? So it's on this side of the garage, so I can get it, pull it out this side, in through the house, and then out through the front door. That, you know, there are all kinds of alternatives. So make sure you have a PACE. That's primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency plan. So you've got 4 different things you can do with everything you plan to do. How important is it to have, oh, we just did that one. Why is having bleach on hand important in survival situations? Well, number 1 is decontamination. So if you think there's a biological attack or a chemical attack, then putting bleach over you usually will decontaminate you so that you can come inside. I would, if I believed there was a biological or chemical attack and I had poured bleach over me, I would take all those clothes off outside. I'd be stark naked in the backyard, scare all my neighbors, and then I'd come into the house naked, take another shower inside the house. I would not bring those clothes, even though I poured bleach on them, I would not bring them into the house, okay? Make sure they stay out. Same thing. If you believe you've been exposed to nuclear fallout, same thing. Rinse it off with cold water or bleach. You know, do not use warm water. That will open up your pores, and then the radioactive materials will get inside your skin. You don't want that. You want cold as can be, so your pores stay closed. Then you rinse it off, and all that stuff will wash off. Take all your clothes, everything else, put it in a pile somewhere away from the house. Remember, that's all got radioactivity in it, or your contaminants, or whatever they are. So the further away you throw them, the better off you are. Number two, for waste disposal. So, if you're going to have your poop bag inside the house and your pee bag inside the house, and you're going to take that outside, a little dash of bleach on top of that will help with the decomposition, okay, and help with odor control. It can be used, if you use the unscented bleach, it can be used for water purification. So I think it's 1 capful per gallon of water. Check me on that. Do me a favor, just check on that. That's what comes to my mind, but I'm not going to say I'm 100% sure on that. You can also make a solution and called Dakin's solution. And so you can mix your bleach with water and other things, make the solution. It's good antiseptic to clean a wound. Okay. So lots of good uses. Make sure you have bleach. Now, bleach does decompose. And I believe it has like a 2-year shelf life. So make sure you're rotating your bleach. Make sure that it's always up to date and good to go. What are some other methods of purifying water? Boiling. Now remember, there are 4 things we want to get rid of. We want to get rid of biological agents, okay? We want to get rid of hard chemical agents. We want to get rid of pathogens. And then we want to get rid of any salt, if that's necessary, if you're using salt water, those kinds of things. So boiling can take care of most of it, except for the hard solids. So if you boil the water, then let it cool, then pour off the top and leave the bottom, so that that's you're not going to have anything in the bottom poured in with that. You're probably going to get rid of the solids. Bleach and chlorine, they're going to get rid, once again, they're going to get rid of the pathogens, they're going to get rid of the chemicals, they're neutralize chemicals, most of them, neutralize the biological agents, but you're still going to have the solids, okay? Filtration will remove the solids. So guess what? If we don't remove solids with these others, and this one does remove the solids, what's the best thing to do? Do both, okay? Filter and boil is your safest thing to do. You can use iodine, that also gets rid of living things, and then sunlight UV exposure. So one of the ladies that we did a video with her here a little while ago has a UV pen that I demonstrated that night that we did that. I just got it in the mail, as a matter of fact. But it's a little bit on the expensive side. It's under $65 for a UV ultraviolet light purification. But it does kill all of the amoeba and bacteria and stuff like that. Let me catch up on chat here. You guys have such good stuff all the time. Texas Redleg, I haven't seen you in so long. I forgot what you used to do. Golly, good to see you, my friend. Ah, man, that makes me happy to see you. See, I did something. I clicked on you, and now I can't read. Oh, there we go. 2 tablespoons unscented bleach for a 55-gallon barrel. Okay, thank you. Pool shock bleach, yes, that's a solid. Okay, so when you get pool shock, that you're typically going to get it as a solid. It looks like a salt pellet, and then you're going to mix that, and it becomes a liquid bleach when you mix it. Okay, one of the best ways to keep bleach on hand. I don't believe there's an expiration date for pool shock. Help me out here. Who's saying this? Oh, that's Jim, Methane Creator. So Methane Creator, help me on that. I don't think pool shock has an expiration date. It doesn't go bad. Am I right on that, or does it have an expiration date? So Texas Redleg says that alum will settle the muck to the bottom, coagulate the stuff, and send it down. That's great. I've never heard that. I've never tried it. So, like I said, thank you all. You guys do a fantastic job of helping us with new stuff that we need to take into consideration. Uh, okay, so I think it was Sumi. Let me get my other glasses. Sumi said that the shelf life of bleach is only about 6 months. I think that was Sumi. Yeah, it was. Okay. Okay, Shenanigans has a recipe for using pull shock, but it's too long to post here. Would you do me a favor and put that in the comments? The after show comments. That would be fantastic for people to get. That would add great value. Thank you very much. Okay. Come on. Okay, I'm down at the bottom. So Theoxeris is saying pool shock is calcium hypochlorite and normal bleach is sodium hypochlorite. I think they are pretty much the same thing. Like I can use potassium chloride or I can use sodium chloride in my water softener, either one. Usually those things are pretty much interchangeable. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're both interchangeable. My hair is really, what little hair I have is really messing up tonight, isn't it? Okay, let's see. How can I determine someone's medical condition without medical instruments? Good question. There's a lot of tips he has here on things you can look for, the importance of pulse and having a pressure. I have a sphygmomanometer, which is a blood pressure cuff, and only because I was taught how to use it when I was driving ambulances. And so I think for the normal person to take a blood pressure, you're probably not going to know. I mean, I'm not even sure how many people really know what high blood pressure is versus low blood pressure versus normal, and how they can tell the systolic and diastolic pressures. But anyhow, so how do you make those kinds of determinations without the proper equipment? So he's got a couple of pages of really good information here. One of the things we used to do when we arrived on scene, our medical director told us that if we had a cardiac arrest that we believed was medical, we could do CPR. So we would do a carpal response. So if you take your finger and you pull down on it, you notice that the fingernail turns white. And if you let go and it turns back to red within 5 seconds, then you know that you've got carpal, you've got, let me see, not venal, capillary. You got capillary response. So the capillaries are responding and the blood flow is going through the body. So, you've got a good blood flow. However, if we had a traumatic cardiac arrest, which means it was stopped because of a gunshot, car wreck, something other than medical, then we were allowed to suspend CPR. That probably was going to be futile trying to do CPR on somebody who had a traumatic heart stop as a result of a trauma. Can super glue be used to close wounds? One of my favorite ways to do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the one that I think he just does a phenomenal job on. Golly, look at all this stuff. He's got charts in here. What can I do to survive a major epidemic? He's got all the major epidemics. And in here, he's got, let me get the other glasses. He's got the infective, how infective it is, how transmissible it is, the incubation period, duration of the illness, mortality rate, vaccine available, whether you can get vaccine for it before SHTF. Is antibiotic effective? What are the typical treatments? What are the typical symptoms? So, you've got typhus, typhoid fever, encephalitis, brucellosis, pneumonic plague, septicemic plague, bubonic plague, cholera, smallpox, anthrax, yellow fever, hemorrhagic fever, influenza, dysentery, radiation sickness, and radiation sickness severe. So got all these things in there. Now, um, I think these 3 pages make this entire book worth the money for the book. That, just to be totally honest with you. I love how condensed this is and how effective it is. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you another solution when we talk about epidemics and pandemics. Another phenomenal book is this one. This is Dr. Joe Alton and his wife, Nurse Amy, put out this one. And this came out right around the time of the Charlie disease, Charlie 19. And so, this was a very, very important book as far as he goes into basically everything in here that you need to know about how to treat the disease as well. Okay. Now, along with that, he's also got another follow-on book to that, the Antibiotics and Infectious Disease book, and I'll put both of these books links in the show notes tomorrow morning after I get back from my breakfast. So it'll be about 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Check back and I'll have the links for both of those books on Amazon. And remember that when you buy that, I get 2% of the sale price. If you buy them on Amazon, that 2%, when they send me a check for $100, usually I get one check a year. But when I get that check, 25% goes to the Salvation Army, 25% goes to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, and 25% goes to my county food bank. So 75% of all the money that I make from either this YouTube channel or any of my Amazon seller accounts gets donated to people who are less lucky than I am. How's that? I've been blessed. So I'm going to tell you, get the book just for those 3 pages, 4 pages. It's phenomenal. And then number 89. There's so much to prepare for and so many different kinds of emergencies. Where do I start? I'm going to let you guys talk, okay? Where do we start? What do we do? What do you recommend? Somebody's just here for the first time. They're scared of something. They haven't prepped in the past, but they need to prep now. What would be the first steps that you would take? Let me see what we got. Let's get some good ideas here. Let me start up here. Tuck by B1, welcome. Good to see you. Is Boucher Prepper here? Let me see. Okay. Factors, I've seen a few people that need super glue for their mouths. Probably, I might be one of those. I've had 2 different surgeries where they went in through my belly button. The first one, they actually super glued it shut. And I thought that was great. The second one, they left it open and they gave me these long forceps, really super pointed. I mean, you could have used them to dig into something. And then they had this little vial of this long, it looked like the old correction tape, if you know what I'm talking about. Used to have these strips of white tape that you could stick in your typewriter, and you hit the key that you just made an error with, and it would put white ink onto the paper, and then you go back and retype over it. That's what these little things that they wanted me to insert inside my body, but it was long. So it looked like a ribbon that you pulled out of this little vial. And so Helen would take that and pack inside my belly button for about 2 weeks after the surgery. But that was, to soak up the wound and everything that was inside. Let me see. Water, good. Higgy Homestead, I would agree with you on that. Start with water. Make sure you have an acceptable amount of water. Then we have write a plan that covers possible scenarios. Make improvements as you learn more. Thank you, Jim. That's something, one of the things we do injustice with as preppers is we'll get into disagreements, okay? I'll say something. So let's say that I'm assuming that my biggest threat is a financial collapse. Let's say you're assuming your biggest threat is nuclear warfare. Okay. I think gold and silver is extremely important. You say I'm full of poo-poo. The most important thing is having a Geiger counter. Okay. We're not going to come to an agreement in prioritization of things that we need, skills, knowledge, abilities, tools, because I haven't told you that I'm preparing primarily for a financial meltdown. You're preparing financially primarily for nuclear warfare until we tell each other, and this is what they did great on National Geographic when they had Doomsday Preppers. They always said, and so is preparing for, and they gave the scenario. Now, once you know what the scenario is, then I can say, okay, I can see why you want to put a priority on that if that's what you're preparing for, versus my stuff probably won't be appropriate for you in that situation. And your stuff probably won't be appropriate for my situation. So what Methane Creator is talking about is make sure that you have identified what your threats are, okay? Then plan for each one accordingly. I'm going to say there's probably going to be 75 to 85% overlap. Every one of them's going to need water, food, water filtration, purification, first aid, all these different things. So there is a commonality among all of them. But then each one kind of has specific things you want to add to it. So thank you for bringing that up. Another thing we might want to do is talk about the timeline of what happens on day one. The equipment you're going to need and everything else on day one is different than what you'll need at day 90, which is different from what you'll need at day 180 or 365. But as we progress, and for example, barter is going to be, it'll be great maybe the first 90 to 180 days, but then you're going to find out how ineffective it is and how inefficient it is, and markets will develop. Well, what happens when a market develops is now you want to have some sort of exchange methodology, money, cash. Will people take dollar bills? I don't know. Will they take a tenth of an ounce of silver? I don't know. But there will be something that will come along, and they're going to use that as money so that there's a common exchange rate among that market. Let me catch up here. Gauze, absolutely. 4x4s, 2x4s, 2x2s. Rolled gauze to do wound packing. Absolutely. Gauze, you cannot have enough gauze, and you cannot have enough triangular bandages. In my opinion, if you got those two, you pretty much got your first aid kit set up with everything that you really important that you have. Shenanigans says that her husband super glues his cuts sometimes. Most times he uses phase tape. I am of the opinion, I don't think that we should be adding, especially in a non-sterile environment, adding more puncture wounds when we try to close a wound. And that's what you're doing when you sew it or when you staple it, is you're adding 2 more puncture wounds every time you put a staple or a stitch into that wound. So I am all for super glue, zip strips. I have a couple zip strips, butterfly closures. I just had butterfly closures shown on my pantry haul that I did yesterday. And then I have Steri-strips that I showed in my pantry haul from last week. Okay. So you can see I've shown in my pantry hauls over the course of the last 2 months, zip strips, butterflies, Steri-strips, and super glue, all 4 of those. So that's my preferred method of closing a wound. So you and I are in agreement on that, or your husband and I are in agreement on that. Go with the basics and go a little at a time. Absolutely. Great idea, Kaylin. Shenanigans has a crap load of 4x4 gauze and 4x4 split gauze. Absolutely. I just talked about that. Fire extinguishers. Great. Who brought that up? Higgy Homestead. Great idea. Fire extinguishers. There are 3 things that scare the living daylights out of me, okay, in a post-apocalyptic world. Number 1 is going to be fire. We won't have the fire control that we have now. So you're not going to have a fire truck come. And it's going to be like the 1867 Chicago fire or 1873. When was it? Anyhow, the 1800 Chicago fire where half of Chicago burnt down. We won't have the ability. If a fire starts in this neighborhood, the whole neighborhood's gone. That's all there is to it. So fire's number one. The other one I have is containment of fecal matter and urine. Okay, sewage. People are not going to handle their sewage, and we're going to have infectious disease as a result of it. So fire, sewage, and in sewage, I'm going to throw in there also trash. Okay, and that's going to attract all kinds of rodents and animals and everything else that you don't want. And then number three is going to be a parent with a starving child. They're going to do anything they can to feed that child. So those are my three big fears in a post-apocalyptic world. What do I do for the fire? Exactly what Hagee Homestead said. Every room has a fire extinguisher in it. Okay, I've got 3 rooms. The kitchen, the dining room, and the living room have fire blankets. Okay, the other rooms don't. But I have a fire extinguisher in every room in this house. Well, the 2 bathrooms don't have it, but pretty much. So first aid kit, flashlights, absolutely flashlights, and that's great. Fireman told me those blankets are good. I haven't used one yet, but I hope so. I tried bartering silver Saturday, 0 luck. Absolutely no interest in trading for silver. Utah Mike, I bought a rifle about a year ago. A guy was desperate, needed to sell it, and he wanted $300. At that time, I said, look, here's what it is. I'm going to give you 14 ounces of silver, which is going to be about $320. And he said, well, I don't know. And so a friend of mine, who is his best friend, said, take it. I'll buy the silver from you. So now the silver that I bought that rifle with would be well close to $1,000 in value. So yes, I have successfully used it, and but we're not an SHTF yet either. Take it to a coin dealer, and you can probably sell it and get a good deal. Let me see. Kaylin's Sam Splint arrived Friday. Good. Yeah, they're fantastic. I think that's an essential part of the first aid kit as well. So when I talk silver, I'm talking the 90% constitutional silver, which is going to be any coin, U.S. minted coin prior to 1964. Then from 1964 to 65, 66, 67, you had 40% Kennedy half dollars. The U.S. Silver dollar that was prior to you have the Liberty and the Morgan. So those were the 2 old ones. They're 90% silver. The American Silver Eagle is 99%, 99.99% silver. So those are probably going to be easiest and most recognizable. My claim to fame is my collection is mostly Mercury dimes. And if you read James Wesley Rawls's series of books, Patriot, I think is the first one, he talks an awful lot about the value of Mercury dimes. Let me see, buying a second fire blanket. Shenanigans has some new fire blankets. That's great. Getting sun again for soul. So anyhow, let me see. Creative redundancy brings up a very good point. And that is something I found out in Ice-Mageddon 2021. A solar system with battery backup does not recharge when it has 2 inches of ice covering the solar panels and the sky is gray. So you can tell the mamas and the papas that when the sky is gray, that it doesn't charge solar panels. So we'll need an alternative form of power during the winter when the sky is gray and there's ice on the solar panels. So my solution to that was adding 8 more solar panels, and because a little trickle comes through. So I am currently at 130% of normal consumption And let me see here. I can go right now. I enlightened. So today, come on. And I'm starting to wheeze to boot. It's taking a while to load because I'm using up most of my memory with YouTube. Come on, you can do it. Come on, Apple, you can do it. Okay. Today I generated 15.14 kilowatt hours and I consumed 9.65. So I basically exported to the grid 4.75. Didn't use any from my batteries. And today was a typical gray, partially overcast day. Uh-oh. Breaking a Venezuela coup is going on. Something about from Kaylin Strain did a video released on War Nichols, 1941 to 45. Okay. Let me see. Taxiderm, absolutely. Taxiderm's great. Make sure you also have some neosporin or some polysporin or something like that, some sort of a topical antiseptic. Another thing you might want to make sure you have is and you can get them at, I like the spray bottles that have the pump handle bottles. I think it's called Neomed, I'm not sure. But you can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Walgreens, but you have all these different kinds of sterile saline solutions in canisters. And you've got the ones that are pressurized that you just push down on the end and it shoots water, sterile water with saline in it. And then you have the ones that have a pump handle, squeeze pump handle. Those are the ones I prefer so I can adjust the pressure as I need. You're going to need those basically to irrigate the wound so that you're washing out any debris that could cause infection. You want to wash all that stuff out of there before you close it up any way that you close it up. So make sure you clean that out. So you want to get some sort of sterile saline solution that you're going to use to clean out the wound. Let me see, my bicentennial coin set, 90% silver from 1976, uncirculated and put in a collector display card. I have not heard of those, so thank you. Mercury dimes, Liberty walking quarters, Franklin. I love Franklin House Phylloxeras. I love Franklin House. That's what was. As a matter of fact, I have a whole bunch of them from the year that I was born, 1952. If I find a Franklin half, I'll buy it. If it's 52, I'll even pay more than what it's worth. Peace dollars. I'm not that big a fan of peace dollars. They're in my collection. They're in my stack. I'm more of a Morgan, and I really love the Carson City Morgans. I don't know why. Just aesthetic value. I don't know. Did you know that all of the current American Silver Eagles that are made at West Point, New York, on the U.S. Military Academy grounds? So the only place that mints silver coins in the United States right now is at the United States Military Academy at West Point. I guess we could have a discussion about colloidal silver. I'm not that impressed with it, but I know there are a lot of people who use colloidal silver for disinfection and a topical antibiotic, but I don't know. I don't know. Not that attracted to it. Maybe somebody has a different experience. I haven't tried it, so I really can't say I'm against it. I just, it's one of those things. I'm not against it, but I'm just not for it either. So that's what it is. So Kaylin has wound wash sprays. So yes, who's asking that? Methane creator. BioLite stoves produce electricity when burning biomass. Yes. However, that's a very low voltage. I think it's only like 9 or 12 volt. Just enough basically to charge. And as a matter of fact, the outlet for it is a USB port. So it's going to be anything you can charge on a USB. Now, the same thing, my Emberlit Vesta is a home heating system. So it uses 3 safe heat canisters inside the machine. The back 2 are used to heat the air. The front one, the heat from it, actually operates the fan that then sucks the air over the other 2 and propels that into the room so that you have heating in the room. I talked a friend of mine into buying one of those, and he bought it. And the 2021 ice storm, he had power outage. He lives in a manufactured home, and he kept it in his bedroom. And while the rest of the home was freezing, he kept his room where he was sleeping at 68 degrees with the Vesta Instafire. So I thought that was pretty good. And that third one produces the heat, does something. It's got 2 plates, and the heat causes something to happen electromechanically where it runs the fan. Same thing with the BioLite, a generator or an alternator or whatever. Turns the fan blades so that it produces electricity, and then that goes into your USB port. Okay, so who is that? Scott Hummer says that he used colloidal silver in 2019, never got the Charlie disease. Josh, this is for the ABX. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Let me see. Yes, it has a grate. And so what happens is you've got the bottom part where you have your 3 canisters. It's got a grate over it that you can actually cook on. Then the whole upper portion is a dome. It kind of looks like an oversized old black lunchbox. Okay. So when you take the top part off, which is like the top part of the old black lunchbox that we used to have, then you're using it as a stove. But if you put the black part on, that's the part that has the fan in it, and then the heating area where the air heats up and gets blown up. You're absolutely right, Kaylin. I always get confused. Is Emberlit the company name, and Vesta or Instafire? Instafire, is that the company name, and then Vesta is the model, or is Vesta the company name and Instafire is the model? I get confused. But I also have the other one, which is the oven. Instafire is the company name. Instafire oven. I have the Instafire oven as well. Okay. So what else are we going to do as far as telling these people what to invest in for getting their kit started? Let me see. Utah Mike likes his Violet stove. He has 2. So was I right about that USB? Have you tried that? What kind of power does that put out there, Utah Mike? I think Methane Creator really is interested in that. Would like to know. Sumi would never live anywhere where there isn't a wood stove for alternative heat. My last house here in Texas, I had a fireplace. Don't have one here. And thank you, Kaylin. Instafire is the company name, and Vesta is the model. Yeah, Instafire oven then is the other one. Okay. But I miss not having a stove, especially in winter. I'm sorry, I miss not having a fireplace, especially in winter, because when we had that outage in 2021, then we had it again in 2023, but not as bad. I would prefer to have some wood for the fireplace. Let's just put it that way. Fantastic idea, Higgy Homestead. Make sure you have a plan for where you're going to meet and get together. Let me see. I saw a comment about Mr. Buddy, or Mr. Heater, my buddy. shenanigans. I have a cheap little stove and a my buddy, Mr. Heat. I think that's another one of those. Buddy is the model. Mr. Heat, I think, is the company name, and we call it. And I do the same thing, Mr. Buddy, and it's actually, I think, my buddy. But I could be very wrong. You saw how I was with the Instafire products, so don't tie me to that. Don't invest in that knowledge. Okay, so Utah Mike says that the USB port works, but he doesn't know the power rating. Okay. Wow, Fiaxer says that his last Texas house had a fireplace with a blower insert, and it would run you outside to cool you off. I imagine. If you take a look at the homes that were built in Texas up until the 20th century, and so then primarily the 19th century, what you had was you had the kitchen over here, then you had the sleeping area over here, and you had an open area in between. So what they could do is they could then take like tarps and close off that open area in the winter, and then the heat from the kitchen would come across into the sleeping area. Okay. Then in the summer, you roll the tarps up and you had a breeze going in between the two, so that now the cooking areas, the heat of the stove and the heat of the fireplace from the cooking area was separate from the sleeping area, so you didn't heat up your sleeping area quite as much. So there were some ingenious things that they did back then. And they've kind of, we built onto that, let's call it that. Teresa Buchanan, welcome. Good to see you. We're just about ready to wrap it up. Okay, so Kaylin's saying that another idea is to prep the vehicle you drive. First aid kit, winter gear, recently recommended to do some clay cat litter for traction on ice. Good idea. So I'm one of the very few people here in this area who keeps an ice scraper in both cars, Helen's car and my pickup. My pickup, I have all of my CERT equipment. So my CERT team equipment in case I have to deploy. I keep my trauma bag from when I was a medic and driving. Then I have a small get home bag that I keep in my pickup. So let me tell you a personal experience, and then you'll understand why I have a small get home bag instead of when I worked for the power company, I was commuting about 90 miles a day, 90 miles each direction a day. And so I put my bug out bag that I had created. I built that bag when I was in San Angelo, so it had to be about 82, 83, okay, when I built that bag. And so I had that bag. And of course, anytime you have a bag, I don't care whether you make it yourself, whether you buy it from somebody else, I don't care where you get it. You're going to see something and say, that's better than what I have in my bag right now, and you're going to swap it out, right? So it was constantly being upgraded, changed out, and everything else. I was really into bugging out at the time. I was single, so that was kind of the thing to do. And I had that in my back of my, at the time I was driving a Kia Sportage. And they were brand new. And somebody had the master unlocker for Kias. And there were like 3 of them on my block. And they just drove down the block with the Kia and unlocking the trunks. And my entire bug out bag was stolen out of the back of my car. And this was about 2015. So that bag, I had been working on it for over 30 years and, modifying it and upgrading it and everything else. I did not have an accurate list of everything that was in there. I did not have my purchase price and anticipated replacement price. I bet I lost at least $1,000 on not having itemized items, so that when I filed my insurance claim, there were things I'm sure I didn't claim, and I didn't. And of the things that I claimed, I probably way underpriced them. And so, let me just give you a piece of advice. That is, make sure if you keep your go bag or your get home bag or your your inch bag or anything else in your vehicle where it can be stolen, keep an accurate inventory list of everything that is in it and its value. So, that's just a piece of advice. I felt naked, so I found this one bag online, Echo Sigma, and so I got their big bag, and that became my new bug out bag. Got two of those, one for me, one for Helen, and I'm happy with it. I've replaced some of the stuff in it. That's what you do. You're going to, no matter whether you build it or whether you buy it, you're going to replace stuff. So I'm not one of those that says, I've done both. I've built one from scratch and I bought one and upgraded it. I'm not one of those that's going to be that concerned about what goes on. Okay. If you feel comfortable, if you want one now and you realize you're going to upgrade it over time, go ahead and buy a factory made one. That's fine. You won't go get a good one. You can get ripped off with some of the cheaper ones. I will tell you that. Mike, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. Welcome. Good to see you. Oh, wow. Yeah. So Mike says that some people get lower cost bags because they only have to last 72 hours and they don't want to have expensive stuff get stolen. That makes sense. I'm my experience, I would, if that's why I don't have a bug out bag or a get home bag, a bug out bag in my pickup. I have a smaller get home bag. And right now, since I'm mostly inside the city, it's a very small bag. There's not that much to it. So you can imagine, I'm not going to get caught losing that much again. Dryer lint stuffed with in toilet paper for the fire pit. Fantastic. Way to go. Good fire starter. Happy New Year, Mike, to you as well. Let me see. Cat litter. Yep. Now, here's another thing. You can use cat litter for your porta potty inside the house. So one of the things I'm kind of concerned about is we're going to have, probably about 6-8 people inside this house. And we've got, we're going to use that bathroom for this and that bathroom for that. That bathroom is going to be stinky. So what can I do for odor control? I'm thinking cat litter. So I got 2 bags of cat litter out in the garage. After you use the, what's the name of the potty that I have? I'll put the name of the pot I have down in the show notes. I have 3 of them. And anyhow, with seats and the whole bit. My idea is to take the cat litter and just put a little bit on it every time somebody goes poop, just to keep the odor control down. I also got these gels from Rainy Day Foods, and they kind of help with odor control as well. I bought all they had. They were on sale. They were closeout. And then another thing you do is you can go to Walmart or to a RV camper supply store if you're going to use a porta potty type setup. And they have the chemicals for odor control as well. And they also help as far as helping with the decomposition of the manure. So making it into a compost. So they have those chemicals. It's another good thing to get for a new person. So I want to tell you, Methane Creator had a class at one of his monthly team meetings. And what we did was we took shavings of wood and some feather stick, basically, some commercially made feather sticking, and put it into a small can, like a tuna can, okay, that he had purchased. And then, so he put all the stuff inside there. Then we poured melted paraffin on top of that, and that became a stove. So you can use that as a stove. You can use that as a fire starter. You can get those little balls, basically feather stick balls, and that's a great fire starter as well. Think about how you can make things like that. We did the same thing that Methane Creator did in Boy Scouts, but we used cardboard. So we took a cardboard box and we cut it so the corrugation was running up and down. cut it just a little bit under the lip of the tuna can. We used a side opening cutter for the top of the tuna can, so we could put the top on it and still have it. And then we poured melted paraffin in it. Same thing. I like what we did at Jim's, though, at his meeting. Okay. I think we're over time. Golly, sorry, guys. Thank you for being here. We'll continue on next week, 91 through 99. And in the meantime, we'll go to the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So I owe you a couple things. I'm going to give you the links for the 2 Alton books, the Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, the Pandemic Preparedness Guide, and we'll get those in there. And remind me, there was something else I told you I was going to put in there. Thanks, everybody. Remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please move closer to me because I would love to have some of you as neighbors. Please continue to be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because the only way we're going to get through this is helping each other. So thank you for that. Everybody, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the new people, L-Dog, Mike, Jim, gosh, all you people. Don't be surprised if you're not a moderator next time you come. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.